Hey guys, and welcome to Project Premium Harvest. My name is Matt. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the YieldMax Roundhill distributions for the first week of October. We're going to be discussing declaration date, which is today, ex-dividend date, and then the actual payout dates. So let's get started. But before I begin, if you're new to the channel, the whole purpose of this specific project is to borrow money to make money, right? So what does that mean? I took an $80,000 HELOC loan against a rental property I own, threw that money into Robinhood, borrowed against that $80,000 and invested in these high income premium ETFs like YieldMax and Roundhill so that I can produce a monthly income. This isn't a how-to channel. This is a what I'm doing channel to potentially break a generational curse of not having money. In addition to that, I don't want to wait 30 to 40 years. I don't want to be working 40-hour weeks for the rest of my life to then have a subpar retirement when it's time for me to retire. So let's dive into it. The first thing I like to show on my channel is the Robinhood account value for one reason, to show you I'm actually doing this specific strategy. I'm not just making numbers. Some YouTubers out there, they have graphs, but you don't actually ever see account values. So this is the proof of that. I'm all about transparency. And if you guys have any questions about what I'm specifically talking about, throw in the comment section. I try to answer every single one of them. But yeah, my account, because of these premium ETF accounts, this number, this $93,000 is going to fluctuate a lot. I first started with $102,000. If one shot all the way up to 116, went down to like 75,000, and then it's just it's a roller coaster ride. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. But yeah, currently it's at 93,000. So there's this one interesting thing I noticed today, and it happens to deal with the declaration date, ex-dividend date for the Group A funds, specifically tsly, because I am heavily invested into it. So let's look here, guys. So today is December 2nd, which is supposed to be the declaration date, right? The ex-dividend date for tsly, which I'll talk about in a minute here, is supposed to be October 3rd. However, the exact amount of distribution premium per share that tsly is going to pay out has already dropped. So this is what I found interesting, because the last 3 or 4 months of me doing this strategy, they would actually drop on the ex-dividend date. But for this specific month of October, it looks like they pulled the money out of the ETFs to pay the distributions. They pulled it on the after hours after the declaration date. So I'm interested to see how the other funds are going to do it. Maybe this was a fluke for tsly when the fund managers got excited, but this is something that I have not observed earlier in the other funds. With that being said, now that this has dropped the exact distribution value, I might do my 1-for-1 swap where I buy the exact number of shares to distribution yield on margin so that I can buy this cheaper rate. So then on the actual payment day, and there's like a little pop in the value, I basically saved money on buying shares at a discount. Curious about that. I made an overview YouTube video about it. It might help, it might not. If not, just ask the question in the comments. But this is something I observed. If you guys observed it, if you agree, let me know, because this is fascinating. And I think I may have been bit by this when I invested into YieldTE, because I thought I bought on the ex-dividend date with YieldTE, but then I never saw it drop. And then even on the premium date, when they're paid the payout date, I didn't see it pop up. So I don't know, either YieldTE is trash or there's something that was just off with this whole month or this last 2 weeks. But let's talk about the weekly ETFs now. All right, so the first ones we're going to talk about is Roundhill, and then 3 that are weekly payers are XDTE, QDTE, and RDTE. The only fund I'm personally invested in is XDTE. The reason why I do this is the NAV erosion for this fund has been a lot less than QDTE, and for me, the payout's good enough. And for this specific strategy of mine, investing into XDTE, I'm looking for a more stable NAV and then some sort of monthly payment at the end of it. Do I care that it's a weekly payer? Not necessarily. I'm here more for like the NAV stability, and it pays a weekly premium. But for XDTE, the distribution per share was about 22 cents, almost 23 cents a share. For QDTE, the distribution per share was $21, or man, I would love $21. 21 cents. And then for RDTE, it's about 38 cents, almost 39 cents. RDTE actually surprised me with how high the yields have been for the last 2 weeks. This is definitely something that's popped up on my radar. I didn't initially think I wanted to invest in an RDTE, but it might be something, but it might be a good fund to diversify my portfolio. However, my one concern with it is I think they might be propping up the distribution per share for these weeklies to get more people involved, to be like, hey, look how high this yield is. And then once they have enough market cap and they have more people invested in it, that's when the funds are, when this ETF is going to look more like XDTE or QDTE. More to follow. It's only been 2 weeks. Let's go. I'm going to track the NAV erosion. I'm going to track the different price for it, the stability of the price, things like that. So we'll see. Not changing anything with my strategy just yet. All right, now we're at the YieldMax, which is what I'm heavily invested in. And so I'm going to discuss the YieldMax weekly distribution frequencies and then the monthly for Group A. First week of October is going to be the Group A, and moving forward, the first week of every month is going to be the Group A funds. So for YMAX, the distribution per share was about 20 cents a share. And then for YMAG, the distribution per share was about 16 cents. Looking at this, I hate to compare it to Roundhill, but YieldMax fund managers, you guys got to do better. If you want people to invest in your funds, you have to do better than your competition. And by having distributions are a lot less, it's not going to work out. Good job, Roundhill. YieldMax, step it up. And then let's discuss, let's see here, tsly. So I personally am invested in tsly. You guys saw on my Robinhood, I had about 1,300 shares of it. So I'm going to buy about 1,400 shares at the ex-dividend dates, which I think is today, so I might do it. So we'll see. More to follow. But yeah, tsly was $1.09 a share for Crash. Not invested in it, but it's at 98 cents a share. GUI, $1.25 cents. Ybit, 79 cents. OARC, 40 cents. And then XMO, 25 cents. SNOI, 51 cents. And then TSMY, 37 cents. So of these guys listed here, of these ETFs listed, I am invested in tsly. And believe it or not, I actually invested in tsly with my own money. And so I'm trying to run an experiment here with tsly. Whenever I crunch the numbers of reinvesting every single dollar back into the YieldMax ETF, after about 7 years, there's some like crazy number that's just shot out back at you that's almost hard to fathom to believe is possible, right? And so for me, I was initially very conservative with tsly, where I was doing a 50-50 model, where half the premium reinvested back into tsly, the other half put into SPY, a core foundational holding. But for me, I'm in a place financially where I could take this risk. Not that I'm saying I'm going to lose this $20,000, but I'm willing to put it on the line to start reinvesting some of these shares more significantly, because if the yield is 100%, and the stock only dropped 60% in value, technically I should be up 40%, right? So I'm actually going to test that theory. So over time, I'm going to reinvest 100% of these tsly premiums back into itself to see how significant the jump is going to be, or if I'm going to lose all my money. If it gets to a point where I start losing pretty bad, I'm probably going to cut my losses and then reinvest in something safer. But I'd be willing to try it for you guys. You know, I'm out here for you guys. That we kind of talked about these numbers, let's go over to my spreadsheet. All right, guys, I updated all of these numbers for the month of October. All right, I'm going to awkwardly throw myself in the middle of the screen. But here, these are the starting variables of when the project started to what it is right now. So initially, when I started this project back in June of 2024, so about almost 5 months ago, the starting HELOC loan value is about $83,104. Currently, without adding any more money from October premiums because they're trickling in, the current loan amount is only $61,541.55. There's a bunch of other numbers here, but let's dive into the actual share count. So when I first started this strategy, I only had about 1,105 tsly shares, and now I have almost 1,300. I had 4,600, almost 4,700 in nvdy shares. Now I'm close to 5,000. amzy, I had about 1,100 shares, and now I'm close to almost 1,200. And then when I first started this project, the starting value was about $102,000. Currently it's at $93,000, but I also pulled, $22,000 of cash to put somewhere else. So I'm actually going to show that number later. All right, so let's look at my tsly stuff. So the distribution payout was about 1.0949. So then if you multiply that by the amount of shares that I have, that's going to be about $1,458.58. So it's kind of cool, right? I'm going to slide all the way over to my account value. So when I came up with this $96,793 for my end of month account value, that was September 30th. That's what my account was at. So if you look at from when this project started, the net account value is $102,000, right? And then that first month, the net account value with the debt to the cash was $24,000. But as this project has progressed, this number has fluctuated sorry about that. But the number it fluctuated quite significantly. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes it's up, it's back down, it's up. So that's why when I was talking about my Robinhood account value, I don't necessarily care about it, because at the end of the day, this loan is going to be paid off, right? Currently, it's on track that after October, it should be about 11 more months. I don't know, we'll see. NVIDIA's been doing pretty good lately, so we might see a massive premium from them, inshallah. But more to follow. But yeah, I've already paid off in 4 months $20,000. And that same trajectory in 12 months, I'm going to have this fully paid off. What's 12 months in a whole lifetime? Not that much. But then next thing you know, I'm going to have somewhere between $5,000 to $13,000 coming in every single month that I could either reinvest or take out and then use to enjoy my life a little bit more. I could go on the vacation. I can buy the car that I want, borrow that motorcycle because I've been eyeing some Indians lately. Just things of that. So this could potentially be a life-changing strategy. This is so different than what anybody else talks about in the financial world, because you're going to see people be afraid to take risks, which, don't get me wrong, taking risks and not doing homework and not planning it, absolutely terrible idea. But if you actually take the time, study a product, come up with a strategy and stick to it, sky's the limit. So this is one of those opportunities that I observed, and I had to give it a shot. I was losing sleep over it if I didn't try something this crazy, this volatile, For the first week of October, these have been the distribution per share. So for XDTE, my payout is going to be $8.63 today. When I went to work and had to pay for parking, this number got totally wiped out. So that's not cool. But then for JEPI, there was a payout for the month, because JEPI only pays out monthly, $1.97. And then for JEPQ, the payout was $2.85. I'm not heavily invested in the JEPI and JEPQ right now, because my goal is I want to own 100 shares of SPY before I start investing heavily into JEPI and JEPQ. But then once I have 100 shares of SPY, so I can run covered calls against, then I'm going to start investing into the more passive autonomous ETFs like JEPI, JEPQ. The thing I love about JEPI and JEPQ, they are rock solid and their NAV doesn't erode, and you'll get somewhere between like a 6 to 10% distribution, which I think is phenomenal. It's like a great place to hold your money, if you will, and get a premium at the end of the month. All right, guys, but that pretty much wraps up the video. We talked about the Roundhill distributions. The one thing that surprised me was RDTE. Might consider looking into it a little bit more. The distribution per share is pretty high. Now just check NAV erosion. Let's check the price fluctuation. So that's kind of what's on my mind with that. YieldMax was pretty much business as usual. This week was the Group A funds. tsly was the only one I'm personally invested in. Is it a great investment? I don't necessarily recommend it, because Tesla is pretty volatile and tsly follows Tesla's path. So I wouldn't recommend investing in it, but I'm trying to test a theory, so I'm going to stick to it. Let's see. And then the thing I noticed about the ex-dividend date, so that's kind of important. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the month of October. But yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all the things to help me grow this channel, potentially change someone's life. And wish you all the best on your journeys. Good luck.